Have you ever hit a point in your life where things that make used to make sense to you, they just weren't working anymore? Where the person who built that life had somehow disappeared along the journey. That that's my story recently. So it didn't happen in this burn it all down dramatic fashion, but it was more like a slow unraveling, this kind of tug, nudge, pulling me in a different direction that for a while I think I ignored, but I just couldn't ignore it anymore. So if that sounds like you, watch this video in its entirety. As you know, the business that I had built that had supported me for a while, it just wasn't exciting anymore. It wasn't it wasn't uplifting. It wasn't really anything positive. It was heavy. It was weighing on me. I kept thinking if I just tweaked the things, if I tweaked my listings, if I tweaked the descriptions, added products to the store, that things would get better. If I worked harder, everything would get back on track. It really took me way, way too long to figure out it wasn't the business at all. It was me. I had grown in a way that was no longer reflected in that business. So I started to realize in order for me to get where I wanted to go, I needed to work on me internally. I needed to build things from the inside out. And as I grow personally as an individual, that growth, that alignment will be reflected in other areas of my life, including my business. Now, as you know through previous videos, I got to that self-discovery part of my life through journaling because getting my thoughts out of my head made them real. I took time to reflect, and it wasn't an easy journey, and it definitely was not a quick journey. But I'm here now, so let's keep moving. Realizing that the success of that business was built on an older version of myself, one that was keeping me stuck inside of my comfort zone, made me face the fact that I had lost my rhythm. I had lost my way from the things that excite me and keep me inspired. And I was solely focused on the metrics, the profits, and things like that, which are really out of alignment with how I live. And that explains why I was off my rhythm. It's difficult, it's strange to realize that you've outgrown your own life. But that is the first sign of unraveling. It isn't about any failure or success or anything. It's about your awareness that you are no longer in rhythm with yourself. So one morning on my walk, I had a come to Jesus meeting with myself. And I realized that the version of me that was still trying to force building this business, trying to make it successful again, make it what it used to be, that version of me who always had the plan, thought she had the answers, knew her next move, she was fading into the background. And what was stepping up to the forefront was a version of me who needed to step outside of her comfort zone. It was a version of me that needed to start walking to my own rhythm again, and not based on all these external things, but to look within and figure out what was that really, to find my rhythm again, because I was definitely off rhythm. And if you know, I always say, like, if I'm not walking to my rhythm, I'm tripping over my own feet. And that's the season that on that walk, during that talk to myself, I realized you've been tripping over your own feet because you're on somebody else's rhythm. This is not your rhythm, and you need to get it together, girl. Like Moonstruck, get it together. And sometimes we need to have those conversations with ourselves to realize that um, the story we're even trying to sell ourselves, it's not going to get us where we need to be, because that's not the plan. And so you're trying to move along this journey and move forward based on a model that's pretty much obsolete. So I used to think that my growth, or the growth of my business, because I was laser focused on the business, was going to be about this plan, that whether I wrote it down or had it in my head from A to Z, how things were going to go. Now I realize it may not go exactly to the plan, but I typically have to have this blueprint from A to Z. I do better with that. I don't do fly by the seat of my pants well, but in this season, I was learning that in order for me to move in the direction that I wanted to go, I was going to have to find my rhythm again. I was going to have to find the rhythm that would shift with me as I started to step into who I was becoming. It wasn't even so much about staying on a path, like letting this path lead me to where I needed to be. It was more of a balance between the old identity that I was shedding and stepping away from because it was no longer serving me, and more balancing that with the new identity that I was stepping into, who I was becoming. And that is a question that I had to sit with. Who are you becoming? What is it that you want? You can only step towards that version if you know what she looks like. And although I might not have this rigid blueprint, I still want to order my steps towards this version of me. Now, as you know, I'm a bend with the curves, but the version of me that had to have this written blueprint was now being a little bit more flexible, allowing the journey to unfold in front of me, paying attention to opportunities that sometimes show up. And if you're not looking, you'll miss them. To step outside the comfort zone and realize there's a balance between the rigid plan and the fly by the seat of your pants. And I was going to have to step more into the fly by the seat of your pants, Sherry. It can't become my permanent residence because that's just, it's not matter. I don't think that's a matter of my comfort zone. It's a matter of, I don't know, my brain doesn't process well in that state. But I can do it temporarily. If I need to, I can do it temporarily. So that was the conclusion. Well, maybe not the conclusion, but that's where I was in that point of my conversation with myself. Balance between what you're stepping away from, the old identity, and what you're stepping into. And in this process, your rhythm will slowly show itself to you again because I was getting outside of my head. So now in this space that I'm in, I'm starting to feel unmotivated, a little disconnected from my own life. But like I said, I'm having a come to Jesus moment with myself on this walk. And I'm like, maybe this really isn't a failure as you keep framing it. Maybe it's your life trying to tell you you're out of alignment. Maybe it's your life trying to tell you the things that you outgrown, these moments of frustration and maybe disappointed in where you are on this journey, is the moment that your own life is telling you to pause. Just stop for a minute, girl, breathe. It's like maybe it's telling you you can't keep trying to go back to what was, what you think would work if you could just recreate it. Maybe it's telling you that you need to start again, not start over, start again. Reintroduce yourself to yourself. maybe it's telling you that you need to take all of these struggles, failures, disappointment, whatever label you want to put on them, and reframe them as wisdom, because you're not going back to the beginning. You've been there, you've done that. It worked in that point of your life. It worked for that version of yourself. It's not working anymore because you're not that version of yourself. You've outgrown it. So, having this conversation with myself in my head, I'm just like, you need to stop looking back. First of all, it's not even what you typically do, but you're holding on so tight to something that used to work and you know it don't work anymore. So all of this is to get me to pause, to be still in this moment, in this season, and to release that, to appreciate that version of me that got me this far and say, okay, girl, I got it from here. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it was freeing to realize where I was on my journey, to accept it, not to beat myself up, to show myself some grace. Like, okay, she did that for you. Now you're stepping into this version of yourself, and you have to give her permission to grow. You can't keep her trying to be a mirror image of what was. You have to allow her to grow, to expand. And things started to open up at that point. But let's stay on point. Let's stay on point. And the point is that I had just allowed myself to be free to go in a different direction. Just because, you know, I'm used to living a certain way, if it doesn't serve me anymore, I have to allow myself to evolve and expand. I have to explore. I have to explore new things and allow myself to walk to a different rhythm, in a different direction, at a different pace. And taking that moment, as I said, to do that just opened up a lot of creativity because, as I stated, I realized I'm not starting over. I'm starting again. I'm reintroducing myself. I'm taking all these teachable moments. I'm taking the wisdom that I've accumulated or in these 62 years. I'm taking all of that wisdom with me. I'm just going to package it. I'm going to let it show up in the world differently. I'm not, there's some things, yeah, they're not. My birthday's in a couple of weeks, and if you've known me, if you've been following me for a while, it's definitely a time of reflection for me. So there are some things that are not coming into that new season with me. There are things that I just had to release. They probably hadn't served me in a while, but I hadn't been open enough to look at that realistically and say, what is working and what isn't. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable to release it, but you got to let it go. And in order to step into who you're becoming, you are going to have to shed the old identity. You're going to lose some things. You're going to lose some people. A reason, a season, a lifetime. That's how people come into your life. They come into your life for a reason, they come for a season, and some stick around for a lifetime. As we get older, as I get older, the lifetime circle shrinks for various reasons. But to quote Michelle Obama, when she became the first lady, she said some people just didn't have the oxygen to keep elevating with her. It's going to happen. There may be a grieving process for it, but if you don't allow yourself to expand during this season, you're going to keep letting that keep you stuck and not moving in the direction, because there is no destination, but you won't continue to move forward on your journey. So this is the first kickoff, precursor, if you will, to a 3-part series of walking through that process. You know, you got to release the old identity, recognize the new identity. You got to start embodying that identity, and then you will start to move forward with the person that you are becoming. So don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Comment below if you've gone through your season of rebuilding, how you came out of it, how long it took you to recognize it. Like and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.